And now, Move the Sticks. 10 takeaways from Week 12 with Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, and Rhett Lewis.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Move the Sticks. Little takeaway pod here. Got the gang all back together, all in the same country.
Love it.
Which is nice.
How about that?
That is nice.
You guys look fantastic.
Thanks, man.
We got a lot to get to. Normally, we can kind of do a little happy chat off the top, but I say we just jump right in. You guys
Let's
ready
do
to
it.
go?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah.
I'll start us off. Takeaway number one. It's amazing. When protected, Sam Darnold, pretty darn good.
As Darnold's back to throw off play action. Looks right, throws up the right seam and in stride at the 40-yard line. He's got Berrios. He gets loose. Left sideline 40. At the 30. At the 20. Looking for the pylon. Pushed out. Braxton Berrios all the way down to the 1-yard line. Like lightning, he shot up the right seam. And Sam Darnold found him with a sidearm throw. 69 yards.
Yeah, Sam Darnold was protected in this game and really was a makeshift line, too, because you had Chuma Edoga go down, the rookie. So kind of a patchwork group. But that Raiders pass rush that didn't exist early in the season then kind of exploded for a couple games, they were slowed down in this one. And with time to throw, Sam Darnold showed, Buck, he can make every throw. I mean, drive the ball, layer the ball, float the ball, you name it, he can do it. And it was fun to watch him. And really, you take out the two bad games, Sam Darnold is a better player this year than he was last year.
Yeah, he absolutely has improved. I think the big thing for the Jets in general, I think we've seen them kind of settle into who they are and what their identity is on both sides of the ball. We can talk about Sam Darnold and that offense looking good, but I think the biggest improvement has come from that defense. Last week, I wrote about Jamal Adams having a legitimate shot to be the Defensive Player of the Year due to the way that Greg Williams is using him as a blitzer, allowing him to be a factor not only as a pass rusher, but also being closer to the box so he can make plays against the run. He is doing it. This defense is kind of coming on, and we're seeing them begin to create turnovers. That has given Sam Darnold more opportunities within range where they can score. And I think right now the things are working together for the Jets. I think this is the version of the Jets that we expected to see at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, quick word on Adam Gase, because I feel like a lot has been said about the leadership of this team, really from the jump, right? I'm not here to argue all that's been said. You could clearly make an argument positively or negatively depending on how you feel about it. But there's been drama from day one. That's just kind of been the case. And when the Sharks were circling after the 1-7 start, including a couple of the bad losses that you mentioned, most notably the Patriots, when Darnold comes back from the mono, and then you have the trade deadline drama. And just when you feel like things are starting to go off the rails, they rattle off 3 in a row. I think that's a sign of a coach that can rally the troops, that can bring guys together when everyone else wants to pull them apart. Darnold showing you why he was arguably the top quarterback in the class 2 years ago, and it feels like they together are hitting their stride here with Darnold figuring out what he wants to do and how that fits into the whole philosophy of what Gase brings. And look, all that doesn't happen by accident. You know, it's a good job leading a team, and there's some momentum now heading into the final stretch.
It's fascinating. Just real quick, I'll put a bow on Darnold. I want to get to the Raiders real quick on the other side of it. But you look at Baker Mayfield, right, with the Browns this year. They've had a runner go over 70 yards 9 times this year. The Jets still hasn't happened. Even in this game where they won big, they did not have anybody rush for over 70 yards. So this is a team if you're a Jets fan, get excited because this is the basement right now. Like they're going to get better around him, and you're going to start seeing a run game. You're going to start seeing consistent pass protection. They're going to find weapons. They're going to find corners. They still have a lot to go out there and get, and now we're seeing they can win football games as is. So that would be encouraging to me if you're a Jets fan. And then when you flip over to the Oakland Raiders, Buck, I want to get your thoughts on this, and then we can get scooting here. But this was a game. I know the history of West Coast teams going east and playing in that early time slot. It's a 10 a.m. game, and the weather's not great. I get all those things. But to me, it felt like knowing the Jets' run defense was, one of the best in football, knowing the Raiders wanted to run the football, I got the sense this was going to be a Derek Carr game. And I thought the ball was put in Derek Carr's hands, and I thought he got screwed a little bit by some drops with his wideouts, but man, they could not get anything going there with the passing game.
Yeah, and I think this is a big indictment on Derek Carr for all the things that we want to say that he is. And I thought he was playing at a level that was, probably the best that we had seen him play throughout his career heading into this game. He cannot put the weight of the offense on his shoulders. Time and time again, he has been unable to kind of bring this offense through when they need him. And so I think for John Gruden, he has to make a serious decision on how he wants to build his team going forward. I know they have a lot of money sunk into Derek Carr, but if he's not able to kind of take over the offense when they need it and they don't have the running game to prop him up, what good is he? It's one of those things that they have to talk about in the offseason.
Bucky, you want to keep us rolling here?
I don't know.
Let's do it. The Patriots keep winning ugly.
Prescott takes the snap. Patriots rush 5. Prescott throws down the middle for Cooper. Dives and makes the catch. He has it for a first down on his first reception of the game at the 45 of Dallas.
He beat Gilmore on that one. Oh! Whoa!
The Patriots, it's in the hands of the replay official, and the play is going to be stopped. The replay official
Brown aided it.
diving, the ball came out of his hands and hit the ground.
No.
And he had the aid of the ground and the bounce to gather it in. That should be incomplete upon review.
You know, when I look at the New England Patriots, I think the one thing that strikes me is they just play great complementary ball and put themselves always in a position to win. And I'm going to say it, Tom Brady has not played great this year. Tom Brady, to me, is on a serious descent, and they're having to win in spite of him. And what we saw against the Dallas Cowboys, we saw a team that relies on their defense, their special teams to win games. Their special teams in particular did a great job of creating opportunities. You had the block punt. We had a couple of penalties that they forced. We had some misplays of the ball by the Dallas Cowboys. And because their special teams were able to set them up in good field position or force the Cowboys to drive the length of the field, they were able to control the game. This Patriots team is one. They expose your biggest flaws. And I think for the Dallas Cowboys, they expose the lack of attention to detail. Every team that faces the Patriots you really have to be buttoned up to deal with them. And if you're not buttoned up, they'll find a way to win those games.
Yeah, look, I want to get to the Patriot or the Cowboys side of this thing because it's kind of the most newsworthy. I mean, I agree with you, Bucky, 100%. That's just how we've come to know the Patriots. I mean, is anybody surprised that with inferior talent on the offensive side of the ball, they go out and still win the game? Jerry Jones's comments in this one were the most telling to me. Special teams is a totally reflection of coaching. That's a quote from Jerry Jones in this one. Let's see. Jerry Jones, I don't think there's a game that a coaching staff has that it couldn't do better in. I just don't like that we've got so many of them. As I'm standing here tonight, he said,
wow.
I mean, it was the strongest comments. And this is the last one I'll leave you with. It's frustrating to me to just be reminded that some of the fundamentals of football and coaching were what beat us out there today. I mean, look, that's going to make for some awkward interactions around Frisco and the Star there this week. I mean, those are damning comments, DJ.
Well, here's the thing. This sounds kind of weird, but there's no shame in getting out-coached by Bill Belichick. He does it to everybody.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
This is not the game where you make that comment. You know when you make that comment? You make that comment when you lose to the Jets 24-22. That's when you make that comment. This game, I mean, he's done it to everybody. So, the special teams were the difference in this football game. Yeah. Cowboys, I thought if you want to find a positive, man, their defense was outstanding. Really kept them in this football game throughout.
Yeah.
Look, the offense struggled. I just don't know that that's the headline because every offense outside Lamar Jackson, every single offense has done nothing against this Patriots defense. Then you throw wind and weather in on top of it. I don't know what the expectation was that they were going to do offensively in this ballgame.
Well, and I think Tom Brady was right. I mean, the Patriots are winning with defense and special teams. You go back to their first 10 points. The only TD of the game coming off the block punt. They needed just 2 plays and 12 yards to put a TD up after the block punt and went to N'Keal Harry. Their first field goal comes off the Gilmore interception. They went 4 plays and 3 yards and kicked the field goal, and they were up 10-0. I mean, the offense was opportunistic, and you have to be opportunistic to win in this league. But, I mean, Tom Brady's absolutely right. It goes defense, special teams, and then offense for this Patriots team right now.
Yeah, I think the big thing for any team that is dealing with the Patriots, they have to be able to fight through the mystique because Tom Brady no longer has the magic. He doesn't have the ability to kind of put this offense on his right arm and carry them. And, look, we've seen this from the end of last season. If you go back and you really look at how the Patriots won the Super Bowl, they won it because their running game, their defense played well in the postseason. This season, Tom Brady came out to a great start the first 3 games, but since that point, he's been a bottom third quarterback in nearly every category. And so teams that are facing the Patriots, they have to ignore who number 12 is because number 12 comes out like Mike Tyson, but he's the old Mike Tyson, not the young one.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Buck. And one other thing I want to add about the Patriots, think about this, okay? We all agree Belichick's the best coach in football and debatably all time.
Yeah.
When you look at their path, he's going to have 2 weeks, right, coming off a bye. They're going to have 2 weeks to get ready to play a team at home. If they win that game, then they're going to get one game with only a week of preparation, but it's going to be at home. And then they're going to turn around and get 2 weeks to prepare. It's just like this whole thing, when you look at it, you're like, okay, they don't have it perfect. They're going to get 2 home games in the Super Bowl. It's with a bye in 2 of those 3 games. Like, it's ridiculous. It's such an advantage when you have a coach like Bill Belichick.
Yeah, because they mastered the formula of how to win. And so, like, I really believe they used the regular season as kind of like an experimental process for the first 3 months of the season. Then in December, they hone in on who they are. You're right, DJ. When they play in the playoffs, they always have the advantage of getting the bye. So 2 to get into the Super Bowl. And so in a one-game scenario, if you're Bill Belichick, you take your chance versus any NFL team because in a one-game
at
deal,
home and weather,
they can always come up with a game plan.
That's if they can get past the Chiefs here in a couple of weeks.
They'll beat the Chiefs.
Wow. Okay.
They'll beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs, the details. Like we just talked about the details. The details. They're not detailed enough on defense to be able to match up.
All right. Should I keep the train moving here? All right, I'm going to do it.
Go.
I'm going to take us down to the NFC South, where Jameis Winston has the best short-term memory in NFL history.
Here's the snap, 5-7-step drop by Winston, looks upfield, throws the ball upfield. He has Godwin. He makes the catch at the 30 to the 20. Godwin to the 10, 5. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Bucs lead the Falcons 6-3.
Jameis Winston threw his career-high 19th interception on his very first pass attempt in this game in Atlanta. I said it on Game Day Live yesterday. That will not stop him from firing once again. And on the very next drive, he has no conscience. No conscience with the football. That will not stop him from going right back to the well. And I think you like that quality. You like that ability to turn the page, to reset, refresh, block all that out, get that out of your short-term memory and move on. And he did just that. Very next possession, he fired in a terrific tight window throw to Chris Godwin that went 71 yards for a score. He then comes back out in the next drive and throws another interception, his 20th of the season, which was also his 100th career turnover in his 5th season. He comes back two drives later, though, and leads another touchdown drive, throws another touchdown pass. His short-term memory is insane. He does not care about the past. He will keep firing. I think you love that. The problem here is his long-term memory of, I've had problems turning the football over. I need to be more judicious with the football, has not registered. It's like Groundhog Day in that effect. And again, 5 years in, it makes you wonder if he is losing or already has lost the franchise quarterback designation, because 100 total turnovers is not a ringing endorsement. But outside of that, he consistently shows you that he can win games. So what in the world do you do?
Well, I've said it, Buck, I've said the same thing with Jameis, right? He does a great job of keeping both teams in the game, yours and theirs. He's capable of beating the best. He's capable of losing to the worst. It is a wild roller coaster ride that you go on with Jameis Winston. Now, can you ever be a consistent winner with an inconsistent quarterback? I don't believe you can.
So then you have to make the tough call, right?
Takeaway.
So
that, to me, I would be in search of the next one, because it is high highs, low lows, and this has been his pattern for a long time now. I don't know that it's going to change. He's like a high volume scorer. I mean, like just jacking up shots from all over the place.
So here's the funny thing about Jameis Winston, and here's why I actually think Jason Light has a tough decision to make. So we talk about Jameis Winston in those first 5 years having 100 giveaways. Do you know who had more giveaways than Jameis Winston? Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning sits at the top of the list.
Different era, though.
I know, but like still. So when you think about it, like what you have to make a decision on is, do we want to hit the reset button at the quarterback position? And are we guaranteed of getting a better player or a proven product?
Sure.
I think that is one of the things that Bruce Arians and his staff have to figure out. I'm Bruce Arians. I'm nearing the end of a long coaching career. Do I want to wait for a young guy to get it? Can I find a veteran player that I can kind of rehab? Or am I better served to sit here and figure out what I can do with Jameis Winston? I do believe it is a roller coaster ride each and every week. Not even each and every week. each and every series, you don't know what you're going to get from Jameis Winston.
This game was a perfect example of that.
But this game was, you're right, it is the perfect example of who he is. First play interception, comes back, has his 8th 300-yard game. He has
That's the most in the league.
So I really don't know how we evaluate him because he is up and down. And I just think, man, for all the questions that he brings, he also gives you some answers, but I don't know which direction you go if you're Jason Light and Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It's hard. Devil you know or devil you don't. That's where they're at.
I don't know, man. That's a high blood pressure way of living right there.
It
man.
sure is.
Watching that act every single week. I will add this last thing before we move on to the next one. Tampa's young defense: Vita Vea with a sack, Devin White, the rookie linebacker, 2 sacks, Shaq Barrett, who's one of the best free agent additions we've seen over the last several years. Really some good young pieces. Now they need to get the secondary figured out. That's still a work in progress, but some good young players there in the front 7. So some hope there for the Bucs going forward. I'll keep it moving here. Let's go to the Bears. I thought this was a season-saving win.
Stop it.
4th and 4, play clock to 1. Sends it back to Jones. Scrambling to his left, being chased by Floyd, who hits him as he throws. The pass is broken up, far side of the field. The big pressure by Leonard Floyd saved the day. A throw broken up as well by Prince Amukamara at around the 45-yard line of the Giants. And the Giants turn it over on downs.
All right, as bad as it's been for the Bears, let's hear me out here, Rhett.
Season saver
over there.
Come on.
At the Lions next week with Matt Stafford's health situation, I feel like the Bears have a chance to go win that football game. That puts them at 6-6, right? Then they have a big one. It's a home game against the Cowboys, who the Cowboys, I believe, have not beat a team with a winning record this year. Average as the day is long. That is a Sunday night game against the Cowboys. So they get their next 2 games. All of a sudden now you're 7-6. You come down the stretch. You've got Packers, Chiefs, Vikings. Now, as bad as that sounds, the Packers game was a 1-possession game early in the season. They beat the Vikings earlier this year, and the Chiefs a little bit up and down with the Chiefs. I'm just saying they're not dead. I thought we all just kind of assumed, as bad as it's been for the Bears, they're kind of right in the mix here. They're still alive.
They're 3 games out of the wild card. They're 3 games out of the division.
If they lose this game, there's lots to play. There's lots left to play.
I don't know.
They're going to play inside the division.
There's 5 games left. They're 3 games out.
Left.
I guess you're right that
3 division games left.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I'm saying if they lose this game, it's over. They're dead.
If they can beat Green Bay 3 times, they'll win the division. In the last 5 games. They only play them once.
They're alive, but it's just hard for me to take any confidence away.
I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I'm looking at the wild card.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
It's hard for me to take any confidence away from this. I know Trubisky had almost 300 yards, but a couple interceptions. To me, he doesn't play with enough confidence to lead them into the postseason. And I don't know how Matt Nagy calls around that. Their defense certainly can come up big, can make plays. They're only surrendering 17.1 points a game. That's the fewest by a team with a losing record. However, at the end of the day, they're going to be judged by their quarterback, and I just don't know if their quarterback is good enough to get them over the top. We'll see. You said it's a season saver. I just don't know what kind of season he's saving.
The season is not over, boys. If they lose that game, the season's over. The season's not over. That's all I'm getting at here with the Bears.
Okay,
they won a game. Give them some love.
You got a defibrillator out, but okay, that's cool.
Let's go to a team that's actually in the playoff picture, Buck.
Here we go. Ryan Tannehill gives the Titans hope.
Everybody's in it in the AFC.
Down the middle, caught. Brown 50, Brown 40, Brown 30, Brown 20, Brown 10, Brown 5, Brown end zone. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 65 yards. A.J. Brown. Touchdown! Titans! The rookie from Ole Miss.
Man, a lot of excitement there. A lot of excitement. Look, and they should be excited in Tennessee because since they made the move with Ryan Tannehill, this team is 4-1 with him as the starting quarterback. He's had a passer rating of 100+ in 4 of those 5 games. And when you look at this game, I think we're beginning to finally see who Ryan Tannehill was in terms of what we thought he was going to be coming out of Texas A&M. Dual threat quarterback, making plays. He's been efficient in the passing game, but also using his legs. And more importantly, I think it was telling when Mike Vrabel talked about him giving the team hope. They believe in him because of the way that he's playing. The combination of Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry gives them a potent running attack. He's making plays off play action. And A.J. Brown has quickly become their number 1 option in the passing game. This Titans team is tough enough to be problematic. I don't know if they make the postseason, but they certainly are a tough out right now.
Yeah, you look at A.J. Brown's numbers here on the year here, Rhett. 31 for 581. 4 touchdowns. He's got 8 plays of 20-plus yards. So it's a really good receiving group of rookies this year. We're seeing a bunch of guys, but he has come on, and what he does best is what he does after the catch. And when you get Ryan Tannehill, who likes to be efficient and doesn't traditionally like to really push the ball deep down the field, having guys that can run after the catch, that's how you have to build this team.
Yeah, and look, I think you go back to a decision that Mike Vrabel made more than a month ago, about 6 weeks ago, when he decided to bench a guy, I mean, like you would have to say was the face of the franchise, and Marcus Mariota as a number 2 overall pick back in 2015. I mean, so since then they've gone 4-1, as you mentioned here. They're averaging almost 15 points more per game with Tannehill at quarterback. They're averaging almost 100 more total yards a game with Tannehill at quarterback. They're converting 10% more on third down. It does make me wonder, are they calling the game differently with Tannehill at quarterback? I mean, maybe, but they're still heavy. They're still a heavy run team with Derrick Henry. It's just they're operating more efficiently. And look, I mean, I think that was a great move by Mike Vrabel, a hard one to make, considering the stature of Mariota. But clearly, it's paying off, and this is absolutely a playoff contender here.
Yeah, playoff contender. Let's go on the other side because the Jacksonville Jaguars, man,
they are not.
They are not, but since they've gone with Nick Foles, this doesn't look like the same team. Look, and I'm not saying they're going to Minshew was the answer as the franchise quarterback, but I do believe they have found a bit of an identity. They were running the ball. They've been efficient off play action. They're a little more under center, which really helps Leonard Fournette because he's more of a downhill runner from a traditional I formation. Nick Foles, look, if Nick Foles has to throw the ball almost 50 times, you're going to lose games. 32 of 48, 272 is just not the kind of style that Jacksonville is equipped to play. And I think this is a telling indictment on the lack of identity that they have when Nick Foles is their starting quarterback.
And DJ, and I agree with that, Bucky. I just defensively, this team
they're not
more on defense. And I don't know how you can get that bad after having that many picks in the top 10 in, 5 of the last 6 years, 5 of the last 7 years.
They all play for the Rams.
Well, that's.
They all play for the Rams. And also, like, part of the reason they were able to be really good on defense is because the offense protected them a little bit.
Yeah.
When you run the ball, you expose your defense to fewer snaps. By throwing the ball more, they're now putting their defense on the field more, and we're seeing they're wearing down. They're just not able to hold up. And so part of it is Doug Marrone and even Tom Coughlin. They have to come to a meeting of the minds in terms of how they play. The complementary style has to work for each component.
Yeah, when you look at Fowler, you look also at Jalen Ramsey, also Telvin Smith, that whole situation.
That's another good point.
Before the season started.
Yeah,
those are
a tough miss.
Three pretty good playmakers for a defense.
Still some really good players up front, though, to be giving up that much on the ground week in and week out from the Jaguars. All right, I'll move us on here. The Saints will win the division, but what else?
And Will Lutz from 33 yards. Zach Wood, hold is down, kick is up, and it is good! It's good! Will Lutz is good from 33, and the New Orleans Saints are going to win this one 34-31.
So the last part of that call
Zach Strief.
Yeah, Zach Strief right there. The last part of that call was his broadcast partner, Deuce McAllister, saying, "Oh, too much drama for me, Zach. Too much drama for me in this one." and you know what? I kind of agree. There was some drama in this game here for the Saints that kind of gives you two schools of thought in this one. The first school of thought being, look, this is a division game. It can be close no matter the records. And yes, the Panthers have lost a few in the last couple of weeks here. Kyle Allen has not played well. But look, it's a division game. They know each other well. They play it close. You had the PI call challenge from Ron Rivera that gave them an extra 3 downs from inside the 10. And then you had the missed field goal by Carolina. Obviously, this game could have gone a lot of different directions based on those things not turning out the way they did. I get that. And this kind of grit from a Saints team to win a game down the stretch in the last minute of the game could serve them well down the road, right? But 2 weeks ago, they lose at home to Atlanta, who was reeling. That's always a tough game with the Falcons. I get that. They blow a 14-point early lead in this game. Alvin Kamara was non-existent in the first half. And then, I feel like I don't feel as good about the Saints as I did a month ago. And I think Drew Brees is still shattering completion percentage records. So that leads me to think, look, something's different on defense, right? They're not playing as well as they had in the first part of the season on defense. And I think a large part of that can be attributed to Marshawn Lattimore's absence, but boy, you hate to say one player and the wheels fall off the bus on defense. But I think we'll learn a lot about this Saints team in the next 2 weeks. You got a Thanksgiving night game against Atlanta coming up here in just 3 days, and then you're going to have a game against the 49ers in a couple of weeks. And I think we'll know pretty quickly where this Saints team stands.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's going
to be a big game, too.
Yeah, different looking Saints team. This is the Saints team that we saw early in the year. They were a dominant team. They didn't waste time with teams that they were supposed to beat. This game kind of lingered back and forth. You kept waiting for them. When are they going to knock them out? They should be able to knock out the Carolina Panthers, and they let them kind of hang around to the point they really needed a missed field goal, then an opportunity from Drew Brees to run a 2-minute drill to get it done. And so defensively, they've slipped a little bit. Offensively, I would like to see them run the ball a little better. I see 18 carries. I see 118 yards from Murray and Kamara. Man, if they're that efficient, they could get more. They still need to run the ball so they can control the clock. I just think they just need to shake the boredom out and kind of focus on the last one, making sure they're playing the right way.
Yeah, we always talk about trying to find Waldo. Buck, we've been talking about that forever, right? P.J. Williams was your Waldo in this game. Oh, for sure. I mean, that was D.J. Moore on P.J. Williams on every big play. Both touchdowns, another big play. He just spun him around. So you get healthy Marshawn Lattimore out here. He can match up. He can travel. He travels with D.J. Moore. I think maybe this is a little bit different game. I really thought they missed him in this one. But I do want to give some credit on the other side. Kyle Allen coming off a horrendous game there against the Falcons.
Yeah, good bounce back.
4 picks. He got them in, kept them in this football game, played a great game, 3 touchdowns, moving the ball up and down the field. So nice to see a young quarterback show a little resiliency there.
And last thing I'll say on this one before you move us on here, DJ, Teron Armstead, stud left tackle for the Saints, high ankle sprain. And that's an injury that can kind of take a month to really get back to 100%. So keep an eye on that one for the Saints moving forward.
Oh, that's a big one. We'll stay in the NFC for the next one here. The Philadelphia Eagles are a mess.
Sanders, the single setback where Wentz is going to throw. He does. Takes the shotgun snap. Throws far side. It's picked off. It's Trey Flowers who picks it off. Ball intended on the far side for Matthews. Trey Flowers in great position. Thrown maybe a skosh behind. Carson Wentz tosses anher pick.
All right, let me go. You want me to go through what's wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles here, guys? You got to
lay it out,
okay,
bud.
Let's start here. Let's go. Arguably the best or one of the top 3 right tackles in the NFL, Lane Johnson not playing. Arguably the best or top 3 guard, I would say, Brandon Brooks. I think he's played as well as any guard in football this year. He's had some unfortunate anxiety issues, so he couldn't play in this football game, so you're missing him. So you're missing 2 key linemen. All right, that's one thing you're missing. All right, receiver-wise, you're hurt, you're beat up. Even when you're healthy, there's no speed. There's no playmakers on the outside of this defense, none whatsoever. So you get a pocket that's collapsing. You don't have a lot of weapons to go with the football. Your quarterback gets hit early, and then I don't know how else to say it. I know he's got a hand thing, but Carson, he was like watching a second baseman who couldn't make a throw to first. When you look at some of the screens and easy layup throws that he was missing, just kind of didn't have his touch. And then I thought you saw later on in the game, after getting hit a bunch early, you start seeing him imagine pressure. And we always talk about in scouting having your eyes and your feet connected. In other words, when you start your read on the left side of the field and you move your eyes to the right side, your feet have to follow you there. And he's in a bad habit where his feet are not connected to his eyes, and there was a key 4th down throw he missed. So missing players up front, missing players outside, your quarterback's getting hit, and then even when he's not getting hit, he's imagining pressure. Mechanically, he's falling apart. Play calling is not great. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. It's bad all the way across the board here.
Yeah, it is bad all the way across the board. You talked about the lack of weapons that he has around, because one thing that stands out to me when I watch the Philadelphia Eagles, they're a very slow offense. And without speed and explosiveness on the perimeter, they make it very, very hard for the quarterback to be able to get away. They shrink his margin for error. And so if I'm Carson Wentz, why would I have a lot of confidence throwing the ball out there when my guys can't consistently separate? And the 2 guys that they played with yesterday on the outside, Greg Ward and Jordan Matthews, they don't scare anybody on defense. Now, he has to play better. He has to take care of the ball, particularly in the pocket. Too many fumbles that we're seeing. And I feel like Doug Peterson has to take some of the pressure off of him by somehow finding a way to generate a rushing attack. But until the Philadelphia Eagles get more weapons on the outside, I just don't think we're going to see the best that Carson Wentz could be. Yes, some of this falls on him, but I can't really take him to task until they get enough weapons around him to give him a fighting chance against a dominant team like the Seattle Seahawks.
That was ugly, man. Credit the Eagles' defense a little bit, though. I felt like the pass rush and turnovers of their own.
Kept them in it.
Coverage has been much better since they've gotten a little bit healthier on that side. Jalen Mills made a couple of plays in this game. It's just, you guys are absolutely right, and we can move it on here because the offense just ain't holding their end of the bargain on this one.
Nah, but we're going to go to a team whose offense is holding their own. Don't look now, but the Browns are surging.
Mayfield under center. Takes the snap. Play action fake to Chubb. Looking, going down the field. There's Beckham out there. Got it! Touchdown! OBJ right in front of the dog pound.
Hey, this is exactly what we thought was going to happen, right? They were going to hit the soft spot of the schedule. They were going to find their rhythm. They've reeled off 3 straight wins at home. Baker Mayfield is now settling in. He's finding his weapons on the outside. Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. We saw them combine for 16 receptions and 3 touchdowns. This is the Browns that we expected to see. Now, we can talk about it being the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins aren't good, but if you're the Cleveland Browns, you've won 3 straight. At least you have some confidence. And I think Freddie Kitchens has finally kind of helped them find an offensive identity. The offense now runs through Nick Chubb. Everybody else is secondary. When the running game is going with Nick Chubb and even Kareem Hunt, this offense is more difficult to defend. I think Freddie Kitchens has realized that, and I think this will be the version of the Browns that we see going forward.
So, this is Baker
go ahead,
Mayfield.
DJ.
Rhett, we were talking about this earlier. The play action, off play action, Baker Mayfield, 232 yards, perfect passer rating off play action in this game. So when you can run the football, I mentioned it earlier, they've had, 9 games where they've had somebody rush over 70 yards. They've got a ground game that helps him when they use that ground game then off play action to distribute the football. That's where Mayfield's comfortable. I don't think people understand it when we use, sometimes we throw out terms or scouting terms. I don't know if people really know what we're talking about or does it make sense. Baker Mayfield is a rhythm passer, and there's a rhythm to it when you're off play action because it's the ball handling, back foot in the ground, ball's gone, and then you get into a nice, comfortable flow and rhythm, and I think you saw him get into a rhythm very early in this game.
Yeah, 155 passer rating, just near perfect on play action, and it's actually his 232 yards on play action attempts. Actually, the second most in a game since we've started tracking that stat since 2016.
Wow.
I mean, they went in on the play pass in this one.
Yep.
And Bucky, you're absolutely right. They beat a team they were supposed to beat, right? The Miami Dolphins, look, if we're going to talk roster building, as we do often on this show, I just felt like it's necessary to throw this nugget out there as well. So you can't tell the story of the NFL without undrafted free agents. You absolutely can't. There's some in the Hall of Fame. Kurt Warner, the whole deal. But this is an issue when you have 3 of your starting 4 DBs as undrafted free agents, and then it goes further into it. Okay, so just listen to this here. Ken Crawley started for the Dolphins here. He was an undrafted free agent, was actually waived by New Orleans. Nick Needham, undrafted free agent, starter for the Dolphins. Stephen Parker, undrafted free agent, starter for the Dolphins in the defensive backfield. He was waived by the Rams. And now 6 of their 9 DBs that they played in this game, I get it, not all of them played on defense, some were on special teams, are undrafted free agents. Ryan Lewis, Chris Lammers, Jamal Wiltz. Look, you'd love to have some contributions from that section of your roster because you do have to build with some of those guys as well. But, man, it's tough to win when, they can't all be first-rounders, but, man, you like to see. I know they put Xavier Howard and Bobby McCain on injured reserve.
Drafted is not much to ask.
Yeah, but, look, man, that's tough.
That is tough. It's just hard to win without top-level talent in the back end. It just limits what you're able to do. And sometimes you can find an occasional gem in the undrafted market, but to have so many of those guys in the back end, I mean, you just don't have enough talent to be able to compete. And so we knew the Miami Dolphins were rebuilding. We knew Brian Flores had got this group to play hard, but when you're playing against 2 of the best wide receivers, not only in the league today, but in NFL history, in Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., based on their numbers, it's just hard to expect undrafted guys to compete.
The most established DB they ran out in this game was Eric Rowe, who's now on his 3rd team with the Dolphins. So that look just for some context, that's all I'll say.
All right, let's keep the train moving here, and I got 2 words, very simple. King Kittle.
Here's Garoppolo, going to fake and boot left. He has Richie James Jr. there. Going to throw a deep shot. Wide open, George Kittle. go. 20, 10, 5. He is back. Touchdown, San Francisco.
My goodness, what a play design. How good does that feel? Feels great, baby. George Kittle.
How about that?
Feels great, baby. No, he makes it go, man. I think if they have George Kittle in the Seahawks game, I think we're talking about the 49ers are still an undefeated football team. I mean, he makes a huge difference because not only what he does after the catch in the passing game, but it's not a mystery that he helps the run game as well. One of the best blocking tight ends. He makes the whole thing go offensively for the Niners.
He does make it go. And I think the big reason why he's such a big factor, you talked about his contributions as a receiver, but really in the blocking game. So much of what the San Francisco 49ers do really revolves around the tight end and the fullback, meaning their versatility, their interchangeable roles in terms of how they're utilized in this offense poses a lot of problems to the defense. And then when George Kittle can control the middle of the field, it enables guys like Deebo Samuel to get loose on the outside because you have to devote all your sources to dealing with the tight end in the running game, one-on-one on the outside. And we are seeing Deebo Samuel is that catch-and-run playmaker that we thought he would be when we watched him at the Senior Bowl dominate the week of practice. He has been a godsend for them. He is their number one receiver outside of Kittle. This offense is dangerous, and we can't even talk about how good that defense is. That defense is lights out.
Yeah.
I think they've proven also you don't have to be a top 10 pick to make an impact on that defensive line. I know we've talked about Chris Kasurek and the job that he's done for the 49ers defensive line as their D-line coach. I'll just give you a couple others here. DJ Jones, 6th-round pick in 2017, made a couple of big plays in this game. Ronald Blair was a 5th-round pick back in 2016. He's on IR, but he was a huge part of their rotation before he got injured. And then Julian Taylor, another piece of it, a 7th-round pick. I mean, they get contributions from 1 to 8 in that D-line room. And I think when you've got the elite talent, that's awesome. But to also then get it from the back end of the group is pretty special too.
Absolutely.
They're playing really well on the back end. Jimmy Ward's a really good football player, Buck. I don't know if many people talk about him at all, but when you watch that tape, he jumps out with what he does, not only making plays down the field in the pass game, but also coming up and supporting the run. He's a good football player. Really good football player. He's come on. They're doing a really good job, and the advantage that they have on defense is they can win with 4. That allows them to put max coverage in the back end. They make you play against very, very tight coverage. They make you throw it into tight windows. And we're seeing their front four, man, they get loose on everybody.
Yeah, and DJ will have an XO on Jimmy Ward if you tune into the Aftermath today, 3 o'clock Eastern time for about 3 hours. So you'll see that the proof of Jimmy Ward's impact on this game as well.
All right, so I'm going to take it.
The last one,
I'm going to take it. Here we go. My Buffalo Bills are flying under the radar.
Now the snap. Here comes pressure. They pick it up. Josh fires. Got Cole Beasley at the 5 into the end zone. Touchdown. Touchdown, Buffalo. They picked up the blitz, and Cole Beasley was open. Single coverage over the middle. Josh Allen fired a strike.
And it's funny, you hear me how I inserted that they're 8-3. So the Buffalo Bills are looking at
your Packers,
your
Raiders.
That's what happens when you play 5 teams. You can pick and choose which ones you like. So this week we're the Buffalo Bills. I think the thing that is impressive about the Buffalo Bills, quietly, and I know they don't get a lot of national attention, they have become more of an up-tempo team. They're going no huddle. Brian Daboll has put the game more in Josh Allen's hands because they're getting to the line and kind of controlling. He's able to kind of use what we saw the Rams do with Sean McVay and Jared Goff. And so they're going fast. They're playing fast, but they're not throwing it recklessly on the perimeter. 244 total rush yards. Josh Allen only had 25 attempts. I think that is the sweet spot for him. Anywhere 25 to 30 attempts, that means they're playing the game the way that they want to play it. And even though he only had 185 pass yards, 2 passing touchdowns, had 9 rushes for 56 yards, I've talked about him being kind of a scaled-down version of Cam Newton for Sean McDermott. I think they have found a way to utilize him in a way that will allow him to win games without putting the ball in harm's way.
They ran the heck out of it, man. 47 times they rushed the football in this game. You throw it 25, you run it 47 times, and you get the ability to run the football because Devin Singletary, the young rookie, is really starting to come on. And when he was coming out, I compared him. I said he's like a mini McCoy. He's like a mini LaShawn McCoy with his quick feet and change of direction. And we're starting to see that. He just kind of ducks and hides back there. And then he's not going to hit you a bunch of 40s and 50s, but he hits a bunch of 8, 9, 10, 11s. That's what he does.
So again, I hate to be the the dark cloud here.
They haven't played anybody, Rhett. I know.
Just for some context, the Bills, the 3 teams that they've lost to, have more wins combined than the 7 teams they've beat combined. And that does not include, yes, I get they played the Dolphins twice. I did not include their record twice. The teams they've lost, they've beaten are 19-58. I get they can only play the teams that are put in front of them.
Maybe they beat them up so much they don't have anything left after they play them.
Maybe that's it.
Like maybe that's what it is. maybe it's the cumulative effect of dealing with the tough, hard-charging
Buffalo
Bills.
And I hate that narrative, but I feel like it's been like overused so much this year. It's like the story of the league this season. If you're a good team, you haven't beaten anybody yet. But I think that the numbers kind of bear that out. It's an interesting one. And Cleveland is one of the teams that they've lost to.
Yeah, but the Cleveland Browns are surging.
The Ravens too.
That's right. I forgot.
They're surging.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's where I stand on the Bills.
All right, boys.
Is that it?
Now that Rhett's just taking a dump on all the teams in the league, I think we can wrap this thing up here.
Not a lot of positivity.
Wow.
To the holiday. Thanksgiving is coming. Can you be a little more positive?
Golly, somebody's got.
Just trying to give the listeners.
I'm thankful I have some positive friends and Rhett. That's what I'm thankful for.
Yeah, I'm thankful the self-esteem is high because, man, if my self-esteem was shaking.
I love the Bills. Let's go, Bills. Let's go, Bills.
This guy's
Let's go, Bills.
Get this guy some turkey and stuffing and put a smile on his face.
I know.
I love New Era Field, Western New York. Come on.
All right, Bills Mafia. It's what's your handle again?
It's at Rhett NFL. It's Rhett with an H.
Yes, there you go. You can find him on
Thank
there.
you.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you next time right here on Move the Sticks.
Thanks for downloading Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, and Rhett Lewis. For more, go to NFL.com/podcasts.